The Broadway smash Waitress is one of the hottest musicals in town right now, and there's no question as to why. Its show composer is five-time Grammy-nominated musician Sara Bareilles. CBS News contributor Jamie Wax sat down with Sara for CBS Sunday Morning, and he joins me now, dressed just like me as well.
I mean, we're going to go hang around J. Crew after this, right? Like
we clearly have a very cool sense of fashion.
If I were a little taller, we could just, we could exchange clothes.
Be right here.
That's right.
All right, so she's got to be so pumped about the success of this show.
I think she is. First of all, she's a great artist, and an artist whose music has always had a sense of perspective and character and story. So I think she was a natural to bring into the world of Broadway. Sometimes it seems a little forced. There's been a trend after the whole jukebox musical trend of shows like Jersey Boys and Mamma Mia, where a whole greatest hits collection becomes the music for a show. The next step of this seems to be actually courting these pop artists to write scores, and sometimes that works really well for artists like Cyndi Lauper, who has a hit with Kinky Boots. She won the Tony. They just won the Olivier Award in London for that production. And sometimes it doesn't work out quite as well for artists like Sting, as much as people love him, or Bono and the Edge from U2 with the famous Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark.
What is it that gives these pop stars that decide to go to Broadway? What do you think gives them that edge? Somebody like Sara versus some of the ones you just mentioned who flamed out.
I think, think about Cyndi Lauper's song catalog. Her songs are stories, and they're from a character's perspective. I think if you have that gift as a songwriter, plus ear candy and a catchy ability to write tunes, it's a pretty natural transition to write a show. Although Sara Bareilles tells me in this interview that creating a Broadway show compared to creating an album that you're hoping to top your last album on the pop charts, there's tremendous pressure for
sure.
That creating a Broadway show is much, much harder.
I've always been intrigued by the South Park creators, Matt Stone. Those guys wrote the musical to the Book of Mormon.
That's right.
And Trey Parker and Matt Stone. And it's incredible. And you think to yourself, these guys are like show writers. They don't even write music,
no,
but
well,
they tell stories.
They had some good help from that, with that from the guys who created Avenue Q and Frozen.
Yeah.
So they did have a little help. Sara's on her own. She's got a brilliant director, Diane Paulus, an all-female creative team for the first time in Broadway musical history. Everybody, as far as choreographer, book writer, composer, director, everybody is a woman on this musical, which is based on the 2007 movie. And it's very much a woman's story. I enjoyed it as a man. Men are enjoying this story. But it seems very appropriate that after all this time at Broadway, that the first team that's all female like this would be the team that brings this musical in.
So we've got a clip from your preview of your story for CBS Sunday Morning. Let's go ahead and play that.
I grew up listening to so much musical theater, and theater was my first foray into performance at all. So, besides singing on the fireplace hearth with my sisters, we did community theater.
So many pop stars who try to make their work fit in the world of Broadway feel completely out of place when they're asked to become theater people. Are you saying you might be a theater person who felt a little out of place in the pop star world?
Completely.
So yeah, she felt a little out of place, but still, she's killing it.
Look, I mean, Jessie Mueller, who won the Tony playing Carole King in Beautiful, is the lead in Waitress. I recommend to everybody to download the music from this show, but especially there's a knockout song called She Used to Be Mine that Sara Bareilles recorded and had a hit with on her concept album for the show, and is now available on streaming and iTunes and other services as with Jessie Mueller singing it. Download both versions. It's a knockout number. But here I'm sitting across from two very beloved, very beautiful, strong, talented women, and they both have described themselves to me as awkward theater nerds. And I'm thinking there is a message to all of us in this, right?
There is.
Sara's point was that she's finally evolved to the place where she used to try and shut that girl out and keep the awkward phases out of who she is now. And that now she's gotten to a point where all the awkward girls, she said the fat girl, the theater nerd, they all get invited to the party. And I thought that was a great point. And it seems to reflect the themes of this show and all of her songs, really, if you look at Love Song and Brave and everything.
Excellent. Jamie Wax, we're looking forward to your piece on Sunday Morning. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks a lot, Vlad.
You can catch Jamie's full interview with Sara this Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern right here on CBSN.